Hello, I'm Zhanat Makhataeva, a fourth-year PhD student in Robotics Engineering at SEDS Nazarbayev University and research assistant at the Institute of Smart Systems and Artificial Intelligence. Thank you for participating in my thesis defense presentation today. The title of my presentation is Augmented Reality-Based Human Memory Enhancement Using Artificial Intelligence. My PhD supervisor is Professor Huseyin Atakan Varol at Nazarbayev University. Also, my internal co-supervisor is Professor Anara Sandygulova at Nazarbayev University. My external co-supervisor is Professor Erdemir from Tennessee University. And my second external co-supervisor is Dr. Cecily Morrison from Microsoft Research Cambridge. During PhD, I published 3 papers in journals such as IEEE Transactions on Human Machine Systems, Springer Handbook of Augmented Reality, and Robotics Journal. The title of my thesis is Augmented Reality-Based Human Memory Enhancement Using Artificial Intelligence. The topics that are covered in my thesis include cognitive assistive systems, human memory augmentation, cognitive ergonomics, system evaluation, and study of the usability of the system. The aim of my study is to combine advances in augmented reality and artificial intelligence in order to develop a human memory augmentation system that is capable to create an external representation of objects placed in the indoor environment, replacing the internal mental representations. In this way, to pave the way for the development of AR and AI-enhanced assistive systems to address issues with memory impairments such as Alzheimer's disease, also develop a cognitive assistive system capable to decrease the cognitive load and increase human performance in tasks that require spatial object location memory. Today I will start with background research, then we will look at the motivation, system design, behavioral study, cognitive load evaluation measures, system usability evaluation techniques, then we'll look at the results and conclusions of the study, including the limitations of the study and future research. Let's start with the background research. Augmented reality is a technology that introduces us to an supplemented interactive environment where we can combine real and computer-generated objects in real space and in real time. There are 3 types of AR technologies, such as wearable AR, mobile AR, and spatial AR. The history of augmented reality dates back to the invention of VR headset in 1960s. The system was named as Photo-Optomo Glass or Ultimate Display, and the system was connected to the ceiling as it was very heavy. Then in 1984, the term virtual reality was introduced in the literature, and in 1992, the first AR headset was developed, which was tested in the behavioral study involving the teleoperated motion of the robot manipulator, which showed that the AR visualizations help to decrease the effort of the operator in the experimental task. In 1994, Milgram and Kishino introduced the concept of augmented reality and the concept of reality and virtuality continuum, according to which the one end of the Milgram scale stands for the real environment, the other end stands for the completely virtual environment, and everything in between is defined as the mixed reality. In my PhD studies, I used the AR headset, known as the Microsoft HoloLens 2. The system is equipped with holographic processing unit, also the cameras for motion tracking, head tracking, eye tracking, and also the microphone array. Also, we have advances in AI that helps us to use environmental sensors for detecting the surrounding environment, such as object recognition, speech recognition, emotion recognition, gesture recognition. We also currently supported as researchers with different computing paradigms and various display technologies, allowing us to play with different types of AR, such as spatial AR, mobile AR, wearable AR, and even AR using the contact lenses. Here's examples how advances in AR and AI lead to the development of the various computer vision tasks such as spatial mapping, object detection, as well as tracking and localization of the user using the mobile devices, and also seeing the corresponding visualizations. If you look at the statistics from the Scopus database on the number of papers published from 1995 to 2018 with the keywords as augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality, we see a very interesting trend that from 2010 to 2019, the number of papers where the keywords virtual reality was used increased from 10,000 to 20,000 in 10-year period. Also, the papers where the augmented reality term was used increased from 2,000 papers to 8,000 papers, also in the 10-year period, and we see that statistics is further increasing. The interest or the number of papers where researchers explore the terms augmented reality and virtual reality and use in their research, the number of papers is increasing. We have several examples of augmented reality systems applied in robotics, and first is robot-assisted surgery, where the researchers developed AR-based visualizations to assist the surgeon during the laparoscopic surgery using the Da Vinci robot, here also examples how AR was used in teleoperation and robot motion planning. In the images we see how the AR was used to assist the human operator during the robot programming using the AR visualizations, and also during the study of the robot motion planning and simulating the motion of the robot. We also have examples how AR was used in human-robot collaboration. Specifically, there are examples of how AR headset was used to visualize the human-robot interaction and collaboration in robot-assisted 3D printing. There is an example of how AR was used to visualize safe danger zones around the robot. This work was developed in Masters while I was at Nazarbayev University while I was in Masters. One more example of how AR was used in research of robotics is in the field of robot swarms. Here the researchers developed the visualizations, AR-based visualizations, according to which the operator was able to see the interaction between different types of swarms, such as flying swarms and land-based swarms. According to based on the analysis of more than 130 papers in our review paper, we found out that many works stated that the AR introduces a new medium for setting the human-robot interaction. Also, AR has the potential, specifically spatial AR systems, to decrease the cognitive load of participants, of patients during the rehabilitation processes. Also, many works stated that the AR introduction of AR in our everyday life also changing the way in how humans interact with each other and with the technology and with the computers and robots. leading to the changes in various aspects of our lives, such as engineering, medicine, education, entertainment. And one of the conclusions that led to the further the development of my PhD studies was that the AR visualizations, AR systems capable to help to reduce the cognitive load of people in manufacturing. Let's look at the human memory system. Human memory system is a complex mechanism composed of different parts, such as short-term memory and then long-term memory, where the memories can be traced for the fractions of a second, for the whole lifespan, and also the amount of information taken also varies in the short-term memory and the long-term memory. And the fundamental part of the short-term memory is a sensor memory and working memory. In the sensor memory, is actually sensor memory allows us to perceive the information from the surrounding, such as sound, smell, touch, and taste. Also, then this information is going to be processed in the working memory when we learn some skill or when we perceive some information about the surrounding environment. And when we process this data in the working memory, and this is a place where actually learning is performed. And when there's some skill or some the material is learned, it's going to be stored in the long-term memory. And the main challenge in the working memory is that it has a limited capacity, and according to the papers, very popular papers, The Magical Mystery of 4 and The Magical Mystery of Number 7, according to these works, the capacity of working memory is limited up to 7 digits and 5 objects. It means that the human brain can process up to 5 objects simultaneously without experiencing the cognitive load. Meaning that when we give more data at once to our brain, the brain starts feeling cognitive load. The cognitive load is a multidimensional metric that measures a human mental state during some activity and performance. There is a theory behind cognitive load known as a cognitive load theory, according to which we can decrease the cognitive load people experience using the instructional designs, finding the way to deliver information to our brain in an effective way. There are 3 types of cognitive load: intrinsic cognitive load, extraneous cognitive load, and domain cognitive load. And also the techniques that are used to measure the cognitive load varies from the subjective evaluation measures to psychophysiological measures, where we study the human pulse and the heart rate. When we learn some material, let's look at the study example. The intrinsic cognitive load is actually related with the internal difficulty of the material. It could be the difficulty of the formula or some concept. And then we have an extraneous cognitive load. This is actually the cognitive load that can be affected by using the different types of visualizations. This is a cognitive load related to the instructional design, to the way how the information is delivered actually to the our cognitive system. And here we can use extra visual support, extra audio support in order to and visualizations in order to define an effective instructional design. And the domain cognitive load is actually the cognitive load that is used by the brain in order to perform the actual learning of the material. There is a theory stating that when the working memory is overloaded, the cognitive load of the people also increases. And again, by using the effective instructional design, we are capable to decrease the working memory load. And also the working memory capacity affects another cognitive process known as decision making. Here, I just wanted to show how we can affect the decision making using the AR technologies. AR is capable to enhance our perception of the world and define the extrasensory modality to our cognitive system in case we do not have the full access to the surrounding information due to some impairments of the vision or sight. And also, in this way, we can affect the decision-making itself, because dynamic decision-making depends on the current state of the environment and the current state of the information we do have about the environment. Also, the decision-making can be affected by the extra audio-visual support provided by the AR systems, and also an access to the external memory capacity. And this leads us to the concept of human-machine symbiosis. Interestingly, this concept was first introduced in the literature in 1960s, when Leclerc was stating that the humans would easily cope with complex cognitive tasks thanks to joint decision-making with computers. And also later, the researchers in the Stanford Research Center stated that we can enhance human intelligence by artificially increasing the capacity of human mind using the technologies, the external technologies. This then in 1960s, in 1990s led to the concept of augmentationism, according to which there were the statements and the philosophy that the knowledge will not be stored in the human brain, but it will stay within the external assistive technology, introducing the artificial memory storage. And later, this leads to the development of the cognitive assistive systems, the personal assistive systems, leading to the concept of intimate computing, according to which the computer will be accompanying you there all the time and will give access to not the computers working memory, but humans working memory, and transform itself from the basic human-computer interaction to the level of a personal assistant and collaborative work with computers. Let's look at the motivation of this study. The study on human cognitive system and human memory also led us to the study on cognitive impairments that lead the necessity to have an assistive system introducing an access to deal with the impairments caused by the cognitive impairments. And one of the popular diseases that affect people is Alzheimer's disease. It's a neurodegenerative disorder that affects parts of the brain responsible for human cognition, memory, and learning. And AD accounts for 50 to 75% of dementia cases. And according to the statistics of World Health Organization, the number of people affected by dementia will reach 139 million by 2050, and in comparison, according to statistics of 2021, the number was 55 million, and in the report of the World Health Organization was on this important issue in our society worldwide. One of the solutions to address this problem was to develop the technology-based solutions to support people, and interestingly, currently almost 2 billion people worldwide need at least one assistive technology. And smart goggles that can compensate for human memory impairments was envisioned for a long time, however not yet developed. There were cases when the portable assistive systems was introduced in the literature. One of them is SenseCam. This is the popular example of the wearable camera taking the images of the person surrounding every 30 seconds. And also there are other types of the other examples of assistive technologies such as remembrance agent and the forget-me-not application. However, the limitation of these systems that introduced a decade ago was the limitation related with the annotation of the data. The assistive systems was recording the data, however, then the operator and researcher or the user had to go back to the data and automatically annotate it and structure it. If we come back to the AR applications in this area of assistive technologies to augment human memory, there are a lot of cases where AR was used as a cognitive assistant, for example, to train the learning process or to provide the simulation environment, again, to support the learning and then training. However, the systems that were trying to augment human memory was not presented in the literature. In the various examples, and most applications that were in this area of human memory augmentation, most systems were trying to train that one type of the memory or to support the memorization process itself, using such tools as for example, in order to remember some activity, it was linked to some specific place in the environment. So by remembering the place, the person was able to remember the activity. However, in our work, we wanted to present a system that is not for training the memory or for helping people to memorize the objects, but we presented a system which is capable to extract information from the surrounding, structure it, and present in an already structured form to the human user of the system. And in this way, we wanted to take the processes that usually we do in our brain into the external system. And we wanted to replace internal mental representations with an external mental representations, and specifically in my thesis I used the spatial object location memory and wanted to replace the internal spatial object location memory with an external one. And that also the aim was to show that we are currently living in a times when we combine the advantages of two technologies such as AR and AI in order to develop the new generation of cognitive assistive systems capable to automatically extract the information from the environment, restructure it, and present it to the user in a comfortable way, decreasing the cognitive load people experience and increasing also their efficiency in tasks that actually require the object location memory. Let's look at the system design. We named our system XMM, and it consists of two parts. The first part of the system is variable model. The second part is the computer model, and there is a two-way communication between these two models. In the wearable model, we have an AR headset that senses information of senses the environment and sends the image photo data to the computing station. In the computer model, there is a laptop computer with Ubuntu operating system that runs two algorithms. First one is for user localization in the building, and the second one is the recognition of the objects in the surrounding environment. And in the system, in the image, we see that the variable model of the system was designed such that to take the functions of the sensory memory of our brain. The computing model was taking the functions of the working memory of the brain, and then long-term memory functions was performed again by the variable model when the information was sent back to the AR headset from the computing station. This is an example of an external representation of objects in the environment. As we see, the user wears the AR headset and has an access to the 3D object in the AR environment that incorporates the information of the user current position, user past position, and the objects that the user saw along the way. Here's an example of the external representation of objects in the environment at the end of the walking tour that I will present in the further slides. If we look at the pipeline of the system, we see that at one end we have a HoloLens 2 that sends a photo or video streaming data to the computing to the laptop computer. In the laptop computer, we have a Python code, the Python client, that executes two algorithms. One is real-time object detection, YOLO, already trained in the COCO dataset of the Microsoft, and also the second algorithm is Aruka marker-based user localization. So in the Python client, we have an Aruka detector, and then this data goes further to the ROS environment where we calculate the actual position of the user and send back this data again to the Python client, and the Python client sends the streaming data, the stream messages to the HoloLens 2 with the names, with the labels of the scene objects and the 3 coordinates of the user in the building. Here there's an example of how we place our markers in the building. We were placed in the ceiling on specific, specially printed holders for the markers. Here's an example of the Unity environment showing how the 3D floor plans were incorporated with the information of the user path and scene objects in the 3D virtual object. Let's look at the behavioral study. In order to test the system, I have designed the behavioral study. According to which I selected 10 objects and distributed along the 3 floors of the building and designed 2 activities. The first activity for the participant required them walking along the floors of the building and try to memorize the locations of the scene objects. And the second activity required memory retrieval process. When the user was asked to point on the map the locations on the not the map but on the floor plans, the positions of the scene objects. And there was 2 conditions under which participants performed the behavioral study: with assistance of AR system and without assistance. And after the behavioral study, or after each activity, I evaluated the system, the users, participants' cognitive state, and let them evaluate the usability of the system, and also we evaluated the performance variables of our participants, calculated the error rate, and also the task, the time required to complete the retrieval task. Let's look at the first activity, which was object location memorization. We see the participant wearing the AR headset and walking along the floor plans. The walking path and the locations of objects was defined at the very beginning of the experiment and was the same for all participants and for all participants under both conditions. Also we see that using the AR headset, user had an access to the external representation of object location memory, which was created for the user in real time. Let's look at the activity 2, where participants had to point on the map the locations of learned objects. For this activity, I have designed a Unity-based application that was asking questions for the user and also recording the responses, as well as the time to spend to complete the test. The desktop application was showing the plans of 3 floors and asking the participant to click on the position on each plan or on each floor if they have seen the object along the way from the first activity, where they had to walk along the corridors of the 3 floors of the building at Nazarbayev University. After each activity, we collected the data from our participants, such that the evaluations of their cognitive state and the usability of the system, as well as the recordings of the objective evaluation of their performance. And we collected the data from 2 groups of participants. We divided all participants into random 2 groups. First group A, they completed the first day of experimental studies with the assistance of AR system. And then after 2 weeks, they returned again and completed the experimental task, but without the AR system. While the group B participants, they completed the experimental studies vice versa, in the conditions that was vice versa. In the first day, they completed the behavioral study without using the AR system, and the second day, they was using the AR system. And we developed a 2-week break between the days. We found that this is sufficient time for people to forget the information from the previous experiment. Here we see the video of how the AR system works. The participant is wearing the AR headset, and while the user walks along the corridor, the external representation of object locations updated. This is a map of 3 floors incorporated in front of the user's eyes. Also, we see that when the user changes position, the 3D virtual objects also changing their position and stay in front of the user's eyes. And here we see that when the objects are big, the system can recognize it from some distance, while the object is small, the user had to stop and look into the object, like in the case of computer mouse. Here's an example of how the computing model of the system works. So we see that this is a recording from the screen of the computer with Ubuntu operating system running the 2 algorithms. First one for object detection using the YOLO object detector, and also the user localization. We see that the system first recognizes the local markers, the corners, and the binary code, and calculates the ID of each marker. In the next video, we see a participant completing the map pointing activity with the assistance of the AR system. We see that the 3D virtual object of the external or synthetically generated memory is incorporated in the 3D environment and accessed using the AR headset in this case. And the participant was using this information in order to complete the map pointing activity. After each activity, I evaluated the cognitive load. Let's look at the cognitive load evaluation measures used in my study. I evaluated the cognitive load of participants using the objective and the subjective methods for finding the cognitive state of the participants in both activities and in both conditions. First, I used the NASA task load questionnaire. This is a metric that helps to find out the cognitive load of participants subjectively using the several dimensions such as user mental demand, physical demand, frustration, temporal demand, effort, and performance. Also, I evaluated I evaluated the performance of participants using the objective techniques, using the ratings of the error rate, and the task completion time. And also I studied the usability of the system. This was a post-task questionnaire, paper-based questionnaire, asking the participants answer 10 questions, and based on the 10 questions, I was able to calculate the system usability score. Here we have an example of the NASA task load index. I used the unweighted raw version of this cognitive evaluation metric. And here's an example of the system usability score questionnaire used in the study. Let's look at the interpretations of the tools used for evaluating the cognitive load and usability. For the NASA task load index, we see that the ratings between 10 and 29 show the medium cognitive load, while the cognitive load is assumed to be high if it's from 50 to 79, and very high if the ratings are above 80, and the interpretations for the system usability score is vice versa. The low values show the low usability, while the values over 80 show the excellent usability and acceptability of the system. Once I collected the data of the cognitive load evaluation measures, the ratings of the error rate, task completion time, usability, and the age and gender of the participants, I used a statistical test in order to find the significance of the results. And I studied the normality of the collected data set. If the data was normally distributed, then if it was not normally distributed, I was using the Mann-Whitney test. For example, I used the Mann-Whitney test in order to find that the age difference between two groups does not affect, is not significant. And when the data was normally distributed, I used the independent sample to test, and in order to find out how the gender affects the results of the study, and the pair sample to test in order to find out the significance of the results between the conditions. When each participant of the study completed the activity in both conditions, so the data set was two sets of data was dependent from each other. In my studies, I also used the correlation analysis in order to find out the linear relationship between the variables. In other words, I wanted to study how the change in one variable lists the change in the other variable of the study and had independent variables of the study, such as cognitive load, system usability, error rate, and task completion time. And interpretations of the correlation analysis score shows that the values later less than 0.3 show the low correlation, the values between 0.3 and 0.5 show the medium correlation, and the correlation is rated as being high if it is higher than 0.5. Let's look at the results of the study. If we first look at the summary of results, we see that in our study we were able to develop an AR and AI enhanced system that is capable to decrease the cognitive load that people experience and increase their performance in tasks that require object location memory. Also, the number of errors the participants made in the map pointing activity decreased to 7.52 times when participants was using the AR system. The cognitive load decreased around 0.5 times, and also the usability of the system rated by our participants was higher than 80%, and the study shows that the gender of participants does not affect the results of the study. Let's look at the ratings of the mental demand and effort that was evaluated using the Nazarbayev squad questionnaire, or subjective evaluation of the cognitive load. And if we see the first two columns, so on the mental demand graph or chart, we see that the participants in both groups rated their mental state as being high when they were not using the AR system, and the mental demand when they used the AR system was rated as 20. And we see that there is a significant difference between them, and the ratings for the effort follow the similar trend. Ratings for the temporal demand and frustration also show that when the AR system was not used, the ratings of the temporal demand and frustration is higher in comparison with the cases when the AR system was used. Also, the following the trend is similar for physical demand and performance. However, the result is quite interesting. The participants rated their physical demand as being higher when they were not using the AR system. However, in the case when they were not using, they were using AR system, they had an extra physical demand because they needed to wear the AR headset and pay attention that their heads is located up in order to look into the markers. However, they rated that their physical demand is less when they use AR system, which shows a correlation actually between the ratings of the physical demand and mental demand. When people feel higher mental demand, they tend to raise their physical demand as being also higher. And also the results for the performance are interesting, that participants rated that they performed better when they were not using the AR system, and they rated that their performance is lower when they actually use the AR system. This might be related to the level of the trust, that people in general trust themselves more than the system. And we see that the objective evaluations of performance showed that the number of errors people do when they not use the AR system is 7.52 times higher, and they also spend more time when completing the task without the AR system, in comparison to the cases where the AR was used. I also studied how the gender affects the results of the system, because there were papers that stating that there is a difference between performance of the boys and girls in the task that require spatial memory and map reading skills and map pointing skills. Also, the studies were showing that after some time, when the children get older, the difference becomes less, and at some point in time, there is no difference between performance of male and female participants. And we also showed this in our results, as we find out that the gender does not affect the results of the study. Let's look at the system usability score evaluations, which show that both participants in both groups, Group A and Group B, showed that the usability of the system, rated the usability of the system higher than 88%. The correlation analysis of the system is presented in the table, where the pink values show the ratings for the female participants. Blue part of the table stands for the ratings of the male participants, and it was interesting to find that the error rate rated by the female participants is correlated with the time that female participants spent to complete the activity with the AR system. And for male participants, the interesting statistics was found that the male participants that rated higher mental demand were performing better in the objective evaluations of the performance. Let's look at the conclusions of the study. And here we see the 3D object incorporated into the in front of the user's eyes, showing the external representation of object location memory, and we showed in our studies that we are capable to develop this type of systems where we automatically annotate data, structures, and present it in front to the user. In this case, through the AR modality, and also showed that this type of works can introduce novel solutions for augmenting the human memory. The study has also limitations. The internal limitations of the AR headset, the sensitivity to the excessive natural light, when in that cases the AR headset was losing the signal, and then this lead to the inaccuracies in the calculation of the user position and then user the position of the object correspondingly. Also, there is limitations related to the AI tools used, specifically the Oracle marker-based localization, that the proposed method is marker-dependent. Maybe for the future research, I would like to make the cognitive assistive system which finds the user position based on the Wi-Fi signals. Also, for the future research, and the current limitation of the system is also related with the object detection algorithm used. Currently, the system is capable to recognize 80 objects, and among them I selected only 10, which was highly recognized from the high distances. Also, there is limitation in the study related to the design of the behavioral study, and the researcher was switching on and switching off the system for the participants, and this also may lead to the decrease in their cognitive load and the trust into the system. Also, researcher was following the participant during the experiments, and this also increased their cognitive state. And in the future, also the number of participants was 26. And from the community of Nazarbayev University, for future results, it would be nice to see how what would be the evaluation of the system if we will invite more participants in the study from different demographic groups. And for the future research, They said that I would like to try to use the Wi-Fi based localization of the user in the building. Also, it would be interesting to see how the other holographic elements affect the cognitive load of the user, or the different components of the memory system. We still, in the literature, there is an open questions in this area of study of dealing with human memory augmentations, at how actually the AR-based visualizations, the AI assistants affect the process of mental map formation, the cognitive load, the phenomena of cognitive maps. And in my future research, I would like to further explore, further develop the navigation assistant in addition to the system that I presented today, which was an XMM. It would be very interesting to see what would be the cognitive state of people if they have a system not only that recognizes the data and structures it and presents it, but also how the user can then refer to the data, gives the instructions. For example, the user can say, I would like to find specifically this object, and the system will provide the navigational instructions through the audio support or through the visual support. Thank you for your attention. The also codes and instructions can be found in the ISSAI website and the GitHub repository created for this project. Here we have a quick look at the AR on the GitHub page developed for the AR of this project. We named this XMM, AR memory. Here are the instructions of how the researcher can replicate the work using the Oracle marker-based user localization framework. Also, there's instructions how to replicate the object recognition part of the work. There is instructions on how to create the AR environment, and an access to the 3 Unity projects for creating the external memory, for loading the external memory, and computer-based test evaluation of the system. Here are the references that I used in this presentation. Thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer your questions.